Okay, so we addressed how to do the Bolus equation before, but sometimes the wording of a question can throw you and you might not be certain how to go about it. So if you have wording that goes something like, you've been directed to administer 5 milligrams of drug XYZ, and drug XYZ comes packaged as a 10% solution in a 100 milliliter vial, you might be saying, what the heck, I don't ever remember discussions of percents. Don't worry, because you know the answer without even knowing you know it. All right, so the first thing we're going to figure out is what our dose is. And we know our dose is 5 milligrams, okay? And we know the volume because they tell us it's 100 milliliters in this multi-use vial. What we don't know is what the total amount of drug is in the container, but the answer to that is in the question. So when they're telling us that there's a 100 milliliter vial and it's a 10% solution, we know that 10% of or times the number of milliliters equals how much XYZ drug is actually in that bottle. All right, so 10% of 100 is basically saying 100 divided by 10. Okay, so that equals 10. All right, so 10% of 100 is 10, so that means there's a total of 10 milligrams in 100 milliliters, right? Because if we took 100 and divided it by 10, because that's 10%, we would get 10, right? So we know that a 10% solution simply means that there are 10 milligrams of drug mixed in 100 milliliters of fluid. So the total amount of drug in the container is 10 milligrams. So now the question is, how many milliliters are we going to administer to get the dose of 5 milligrams? All right, so we can simply do the math straight across. So let's do it that way first. So 5 times 100 is 500 over 10. So 500 divided by 10. 10 goes into 50 5 times, right? And 10 goes into 0 0 times. So 10 goes in there once, 550 times. So if you gave 50 milliliters, you would be giving 5 milligrams. And you can see it. 50 is half of 100, and 5 is half of 10. So you can see it, all right? If we wanted to reduce the numbers in place, 5 milligrams over 10 milligrams mixed 100 milliliters. So we could take away a 0, take away a 0, and now we end up with 5 times 10 equals 50, 1 times 1 equals 1. So 50 milliliters. And we end up with milliliters because milligrams and milligrams, those two units of measure, cancel out, and all we have left is milliliters. So if we give 50 milliliters of that container, then we will give the 5 milligrams that we are hoping to get or wanting to get.